Being natively from Chicago, I'm always going to be a Bulls fan. However, this is P.kidd Talks NBA, and one of my favorite players since he's been drafted may be on the move, and that's Kyle Kuzma. Now, for a lot of people, Kyle Kuzma has kind of been in that mid, you don't know where his career is going, things of that nature, but if you really watch how his career turned out, the man was on the uptick, and then LeBron James comes into town. He plays the same position. He gets relegated. Like, I don't know why people, like, LeBron is an all-time great, don't get me wrong, but your game changes when he's on your roster. And Kyle Kuzma fell into that. But before then, I genuinely believe he was on the same track Jason Tatum was. And at sometimes I felt like he was a better option. That being said, though, the Washington Wizards are now in a space where they've been mid for a while. They have a what some would consider generational talent in Bradley Beal. They've had great support in Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis, but they're going to do a full rebuild at this point. And it probably is the best thing for them because they're not going anywhere. You're not going to be in the top of the East. You're not going to be competing for a championship anytime soon. You might as well divest yourself of these assets. I frankly think that with Kyle being as valuable as he is, I believe he's like a 20 and 10 player. He can shoot. He does a lot for the Wizards. He can do a lot for a team. There are a few teams that I think that he should absolutely, he might absolutely be going to or traded to, or teams that may be after him rather. And one of those teams, of course, is going to be the Chicago Bulls. I got to start there. I'm not going to act like I'm a homer, but if you've been watching the Windy City Breeze Chicago podcast, Chicago YouTube channel, you know I've been mentioning his name for over a year because Kyle Kuzma does exactly what we need. This would be one of those things where I think he comes in and gets the opportunity that he's been looking for. Obviously, he gets a starting role. He's been in a position where he's played next to an elite guard, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine. I think that this gives us all the defense that we need, the shooting, the IQ. I think this gives us everything that we would need if you're coming from the Chicago Bulls perspective. But if you're coming from if you're just a fan of Kyle Kuzma, where he would go, I think this is one of the best fits simply because it allows him to actually be on a franchise, a storage franchise, and one that can get him mainstream media. Kyle Kuzma is an attention junkie. Let's be honest. From the fashion and everything like that, there's a lot that he does off court, and that's a part of his personality. No one here can judge. I don't see him. Hey, listen, it ain't like he going through Zion problems right now. So I mean, hey, whatever it is, he keeping it together. I ain't the one to judge. It ain't my thing. I ain't God. I ain't gonna do it to him. But what I will say is, Chicago can be that space for you. You are already in the code. You might as well. Chicago, if you win in Chicago and you get Chicago back on the map, it's going to be you're going to get much more fanfare than you would in Washington. Trust me. No, it's not even comparable. But it's one of those things where he could come, he can show out, he can get love, and at the same time, he can be in a situation where he's kind of insulated. Like realistically, he doesn't have to be the guy, but he can be part of the guys to actually bring Chicago back into the mainstream and into winning basketball. And that's saying a lot. You win in Chicago, you goated. I don't care what nobody say. If you win in Chicago, you are goated. You will be part of one of the first teams. You'll be the first team since the Jordan era to win a championship. If you could come in and help that, man, listen, they probably going your whole career changes at that point. Now, honestly, if anyone wins a championship, generally speaking, their career changes. But where you go matters. The storylines are bigger. Chicago's one of those places. I think it'd be a great place for him. Now, I'm not going to make this totally a Chicago video. I do understand that there's other teams that can utilize him. And frankly, there are some teams that are probably one or two pieces away. If they utilize him right, that could really benefit from him. I honestly can see Kyle Kuzma going to the West Coast because a lot of teams tend to, if they can trade, because this may be one of those things where they sign and trade him. If they can do it, they try to get you out the conference. That happens a lot. Happens in almost every sport. I don't want to see you. They try to get you out the conference, right? I could see the Warriors actually making a move for him. And I could see him fitting right there with the Warriors. As strange as that sounds, like the Warriors have done a good job bringing in people. I mean, look at what they did for Andrew Wiggins' career. And Andrew Wiggins and Kuz could actually coexist. Look at what they did for his career. Andrew Wiggins was considered very mid type of player, and then he comes in and boom, they win a championship, and now everyone wants to talk as if he wasn't already a 20 point a game player. Like Andrew Wiggins has been doing some of the same things he's been doing in the Warriors wherever he's been. He hasn't been a bad player. So this is one of those things where the narrative totally around him changes, and he goes to another franchise that's looking to still stay in competitive space. He gets back to the West Coast where he loves. I think that would be a good move for him because the Warriors are going to be in some type of shifting thing. And that does that mean they got to trade some assets? Absolutely. Do I know a few people they probably should trade? Absolutely. I think we all do. I ain't gonna say no names. We ain't gonna point no fingers. But I mean, hey. You can't get the bag and then drop a goose egg like that and just be I don't care whether you got stole off or not. It ain't a good look. So if the Wizards are trying to go young, the Wizards are trying to rebuild. Hey, listen, you get you another young star in there to kind of replace the excitement you lost with Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma. Boom, you take the $100 million contract from that boy because that boy's a scrub if he ain't sitting there doing all the antics and stuff like that. If you ask me, I'm not a Jordan Poole fan. Dag, I said his name, didn't I? Oh well. There's another team. Honestly, if this is Portland's, Hail Mary attempt, he could find himself in a situation where they trade for him there. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what should happen, but I'm saying that Portland's in one of those situations where either they trade Dame or they bring him more talent to be competitive. He could be one of those names that go there. I don't think he goes back to the Lakers. I don't see that happening. If he does, why? I mean, why? We're just going to leave that there. Those are the only two teams I really see on the West Coast, but I want to hear your thoughts, man. I want to hear where you think Kyle Kuzma would land. This is P.kidd Talks NBA. We're going to talk about everybody in the NBA that's breaking news or doing some things like that. Get in tune with me, man. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, I'll be in the comments with you. Peace and love, baby.